Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
All right, we got game 4 tonight. So, on one level, I understand the argument. This game is not particularly interesting for a number of reasons. Most notably, we feel like the series is always over, that Golden State is going to walk to this. Even if Golden State doesn't win this game, we feel like Golden State will win game 5. Or if they play a game 6, they'll win game 6. That's where we are. We feel like this whole thing is over. But don't y'all pretend like y'all don't want to watch this. Not all of y'all, but a bunch of y'all want to watch this. And you know why a bunch of y'all want to watch this. A bunch of y'all want to watch this because y'all want to see if LeBron gets swept out the finals at the crib. Come on now. You know you want to see that because, you know.
Oh, man. Hey.
You know, they still going to do numbers. They are still going to do numbers on this game because, again, it's still LeBron. I don't know what postseason game you could throw out there for LeBron that is not compelling in some way. Why? Because it's still LeBron. That's in large part why we are here. The Warriors, they kind of got this dilemma, right? So do the Warriors want to win this on their own home court, or do they want to win this in Cleveland again? And I got to say, man, it's entirely possible these cats on the Warriors are only going to win 2 championships their whole careers. That's how the game can often go. How bummed out would you be if you won 2 championships and both times you was partying in Cleveland? Like, I think the biggest win ever on that one was when the Mavericks won that championship in Miami, and then Mark Cuban put a mill down and went down and blew it up at Live. Right? That's a different sort of win on their home floor. They don't even care about the floor part. They try to, the road club was a little crack-a-lacking, right? But the Warriors, no. They could take this back to the crib. If I'm the Warriors, man, honestly, let's go out here and shave some points. Let's bring this back to the house so we can celebrate with the home folks. That'd be the way that I'd see it, right? That would be me. Now, the homie Draymond Green is all about winning the championship in Cleveland. In fact, here he is in one of these off-day press conferences.
It'll be very satisfying to do that. We've obviously won it here before, and it's a great feeling, winning on somebody else's floor, celebrating on their floor, celebrating in their locker room, quieting their crowd. As an athlete, one of the best feelings is going into an opposing enemy territory and just silencing their crowd. So it'll be a great feeling, but at the end of the day, it don't matter where you win it at as long as you can win it. Obviously, the opportunity is to win it here, so you want to take advantage of that. And try to close it out as soon as you can.
Yeah, I'd rather win it at the crib. But on the other side, to be fair, on the other side, Steph Curry could then once again make the "I hope their locker room still smells like champagne" joke. Remember, he did that. You might recall that he did that. These are the topics that we have now because it's a 3-0 NBA Finals series. And I actually do think there's something to be said. Would you rather win it at the crib or would you rather win it on the road? Should we put that on the poll?
That's going up on a poll. Would you rather win it at the crib or win it at the road, or on the road, or it doesn't matter as long as you win it?
No, take that week.
That's what Draymond said,
I don't care if that's what he said. It ain't the right time with Draymond Green. I don't care what he said. We're going to say that.
Speaking of winning it on the road, does an organization have someone that goes out scouting where to go, where to party that night in the event that they win it?
Yes, and whoever does that for the Warriors has the hardest job in America. Where we go turn up in Cleveland in the ways that they want to turn up. They're like, can we get a charter flight to Chicago? Like, I just feel like for them it's going to be a little different. Now, what? Oh, the Cavs, right? They caught the charter last year and went to Vegas. Remember that? They won it in Oakland. They got on the charter. They went to Vegas because, Vegas still cracking. What time Cleveland closed down? Can we look that up? Like, I'll get the feeling that the game's going to end in Cleveland and then you get out of there at like 1 o'clock and it's like, yo, we can kick it all night. I could be wrong, but I'm not betting on that being the move. Now, one thing that's interesting also talking about Draymond Green in this, Draymond Green says that he texted Kevin Durant last year after the game on the way to the crib. He said the first person he called him. He said the first person he called was Bob Myers, the general manager, to tell him, we got to go get Kevin Durant. And then he said he called Kevin Durant, but he wasn't tampering. He was just calling his homeboy, Kevin Durant, because you can't do that sort of thing. And so the way Draymond sees it, Draymond looks at it like, okay, he got suspended last year, and he feels like that might have cost the Warriors the title, but he doesn't regret it because he doesn't do regrets, which, all right, whatever. So the way he sees it, losing last year meant that Kevin Durant showed up this year, so it's kind of sort of all worth it. And number one, I think we'd all have to admit that if that's the trade, that trade works. You make that trade every time. Yeah, we'll blow a 3-1 lead if we can get Kevin Durant and maybe walk to the next 3. We'll do that. But why are people under this mistaken impression that the only reason Kevin Durant would – not that the only reason that Kevin Durant would go to the Warriors would be that they didn't win a championship, but that if they had won a championship, then Kevin Durant is going to be like, nah, man, I'm going to just stay in Oklahoma City. Bro, they started trying to get Kevin Durant to come there way sooner than that. When they were running through the league, when their record is like 50-3 or whatever it was, they were already talking to Kevin Durant about coming to Oakland. Like, that had been the plan from the jump. What do you think? Kevin Durant's like, nah, man, I was going to come there, man, but y'all too good now. No, I can't do that. Now, I do think it would have been different if Kevin Durant and the Thunder had beaten the Warriors and then he went to the Warriors. Now, I do think that maybe that would have been a little bit difficult for him to pull off, right? I think that might have been a little more than he was willing to do. But I'm not coming because the Warriors won the championship? Psh, please. That's a great reason to show up. And what you think? You think if the Warriors won the championship, that they were going to be like, no, guys. We're going to stick with Harrison Barnes. Do you guys think that was what was going to happen? Like, do you think they were going to say, hey, man, we won a championship and went 7 games with the Cavs, but, you can't give up on a guy like Harrison Barnes. Not even for Kevin Durant. Hell no, man. They was going to get the best guy that they could, right? The best guy that was available in free agency. It's like, think about this. You're the Warriors. All right, our small forward is a free agent, and somebody's probably going to pay him $20-something million a year. Hey, guys, can we go out and see if maybe there's another small forward that we could get that might be better than we don't have a small forward right now because Harrison Barnes is gone. We don't have a small forward right now. Well, who's the best small forward that's available? Kevin Durant. Hey, you guys want to see if maybe he'll show up? Right? Like, who is going to be like, no, guys, we're sticking with Harrison. Durant's too good. We just won a championship. Why would we want to get better? See, that's the mistake that you could argue that the Cavs made this year. Right? Like, the argument you can make about the Cavs is the Cavs managed to get to that championship. Now, granted, it seemed to involve an injured Steph Curry, the suspension of Draymond Green, Andrew Bogut going out, whatever it was. But the Cavs won a championship, and there's nothing like winning a championship to make teams mess around, look at their squad, and say to themselves, yeah, we're good. Right? And that's the way I think the Cavs looked at it. I think the Cavs looked at it as though they did not win in 2015 because they were hurt. They were fully healthy, and they're like, yeah, see, we won. Of course, ignoring the Golden State wasn't fully healthy, but whatever. But they're like, all right, we had our guys. We won. Nah, we're good. Now, if the Cavs had lost that one in the 7th game, do you think Kevin Love is there? Like, Dan and I talk about this all the time. The Ray Allen shot in 2013 with the Heat. If Ray Allen doesn't make that shot, they are immediately trying to figure out what they can get for Chris Bosh, and they're going to retool that team. Like, that's how thin the margins are. Then you wound up the following year with the Heat when they're getting run out of the finals by the Spurs because they just weren't good enough. Right? Like, maybe even with that championship, they should have given some thought to moving Chris Bosh. But you don't think about moving Chris Bosh. Why? We won a championship. I don't feel like the Warriors were going to fall for that one. Like, I feel like Lacob is on something completely different and be like, hey, man, sometimes you got to be cold about it. Sometimes you got to be hardcore about it. And sometimes you say thank you to the guys that got you this far. And sometimes you chuck them to deuce. Like, one thing you need to understand about, like, very successful companies. You know what very successful companies do every day? Fire people. Like, think about that, right? Like, I guess McDonald's is having some troubles of their own right now, but pick any company that's just out here balling out of control, right? You think there's any guy that's like, yo, so we would fire Johnny over there in accounting, but revenues are really high. No, man, they're out here trying to get these revenues up higher. And that's what Kevin Durant is. Higher revenues. Yeah, they was going to bring them there no matter what happened.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
We got a poll up on the ESPN Radio Twitter account. Where would you rather win your championship? At home in front of adoring fans or spiting the fans on the road? Let's hit the polls and ask Wes from Arkansas what he thinks about that. Wes, thanks for calling The Right Time.
Thanks for having me on, Bomani.
Yes, sir.
I heard you say earlier in the show how you thought perhaps they should
Well, I believe you got a point there, Wes. I appreciate the call, even though you just decided, hey, let me throw a wet blanket on all your fun. Right? Let me just throw a wet blanket on all the fun. Of course you can't risk it in real life. I'm just saying you should have some confidence about yourself and feel as though y'all can't blow no 3-0 lead. We could beat anybody 4 in a row. I don't care if we got Kevin Durant or not. I mean, they were pretty good without Kevin Durant this year also. See, you got to have some confidence. Come on, man. Just let me have my fun. All right, 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Let's talk to Devin in Charlotte. Devin, thanks for calling the right time.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I've got a question. It seems to me that Tyronn Lue is getting a pass. I think he's been exposed, and by a comment that Steve Kerr made, that he said that the fatigue was a factor because of all the isolation plays that Cavaliers play. And I think that sort of has exposed that they're playing this sort of late 90s style of basketball again. They're reverting back to a style of basketball that is not really relevant or one that you can win with today. And despite the disparity in the talent level, I don't think Tyronn Lue is making use of the talent that he has in an effective way, and I think he's getting a pass now.
Well, Devin, man, I appreciate the call and did not expect Devin to sound like that. Where I would disagree is the idea that they're playing late 90s basketball. You can't have a team that shoots as many threes as the Cavaliers have and then say that they're playing a late 90s style of basketball. That's not what's happening. What has happened, though, is they have played a lot of one-on-one basketball, and I think that's less about the coach than it is about that Warriors defense got out there, and that's the option they had. We got LeBron and Kyrie. Let's go from there. But even within that, they're running the screen roll, they're running the different actions that people are. Dude, the Warriors are just on it. They're on it. And so I think on one level, yes, you could say that Steve Kerr took a shot at Lue by saying they're going to get fatigued because they play so much one-on-one basketball. Like, I totally get that. But I think if you gave Steve Kerr this same roster, he's probably doing the same thing. Like, as much as Steve Kerr and the Warriors, I think, have done a great job of recognizing what the talent is on their roster and building a system around that, let us not forget that this is a talent-driven situation here, right? Like, that's what this is. This is talent that is pushing this. If Steve Kerr had what the Cavs had, they're not running the same offense as the one that they run in Golden State. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Ask, where'd you rather win your championship? At home with your people or on the road looking at all those sad faces? Let's hit the phones and talk to Andre from Michigan. Andre, thanks for calling the right time. Andre. All right, we lost Andre. I was expecting Andre to be French. Let's hit the phones and talk to Michelle in Knoxville. Michelle, thanks for calling the right time.
Hi, Bomani. I love your show.
Thank you.
As long as I'm winning a ring, it doesn't matter where I win that ring at. So if it's at home, awesome. But if it's on the road, it's just even greater. So I'm pulling for I'm a Warriors fan, so I'm pulling for the Warriors. And I always said that I thought they would sweep them this year. So that's my answer.
All right, Michelle, I appreciate the call. And I got to say, I feel a little differently simply in that I don't want the best moment of my professional life to happen in Cleveland, bro. I just don't. Like that's not how I want to commemorate it. That's not how I want to remember the greatest of my basketball greatness is out here. That's just me. Not how I want to do it. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our number. Let's talk to Mike in Alaska. Mike, thanks for calling the right time.
Hey, what's up, Bomani? I'm at work right now. But, hey, this is exactly what I would do. I would win in Cleveland, and I'll have Steph go ahead and do that TO in the middle of the court. All right, that's all. Have a good day.
All right, man, you too. That was Mike from Alaska, Shad.
Glad he gave you the heads up that he was at work.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, boy, I'm at work. I just want to get this in really, really quickly.
Shout out to the homie Francis in Maryland. He used to call my show from work talking like this, trying to whisper. Like, why are you so quiet? Speak up. He's sitting on the office phone.
Usually when you get those calls from work like that, that's when somebody's calling for a contest.
Yeah.
Am I calling number 9? No? Okay. All right, bye.
So we had Devin from, I don't remember what city Devin called from, but Devin did not sound the way that we thought Devin would sound. Ed from D.C. did not sound like we thought Ed from D.C. would sound. I'm now really disappointed that we did not get Andre. Really, really disappointed.
Did get a call from Alaska, though.
And that was Mike. And you didn't think Mike from Alaska was going to sound like that, did you? We handling the earth right now. 888-729-3776 on the BJ in Dallas. BJ, thanks for calling the right time.
What's up with it, Bomani?
Doing all right.
All right, man. I'm down here, man, in Dallas, man. I just wanted to comment on yesterday, man. I was listening to your show, man, and you was talking about what Steph did in the middle of the court. Well, let me explain that to a few people that don't understand. See, down here in Texas, man, we call that stunting. He was stunting on Cleveland, you know what I mean? So, and of course, to what you're talking about today, yeah, they need to go and close out in Cleveland, man, and go and stun on them again. You know what I'm saying? Let the whole team go out in the middle of the court. You know what I'm saying? And stun on them right in the middle of the court, man. That's what the king needs. You know what I'm saying?
You might be right, man. Hey, I appreciate the call. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number, bro. We have just, we got everything for you in this latest run of callers. I think this hour's worth of callers, we gave you about as much America as you can ask for from a random sample of 5 phone calls.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
On the line with us is our guest from 4:30 Eastern. He ain't get around here till 5 o'clock Eastern. It's cool, though. It's cool. His name is Bruce Bowen. Now, Bruce, we're going to start with good memories, man. We're going to start with good memories here. You were a San Antonio Spur in 2007 when they won the NBA championship in Cleveland. And what we're trying to figure out is, where do you go to party in Cleveland after you win a championship?
Well, you know what? LeBron has built up that city now, so they have places like that now. But back then in 2007, we went to Ruth Chris and back to our hotel from there. I feel a little disappointed that I missed out on something, because I'm sure there's some beautiful spots to party at now, but back then, oh my goodness, it was slim. It was slim fixings on the table. That's like having an almost drumstick with some almost macaroni and cheese and almost candy yams. You know, just almost.
Now, hold on. Was it Ruth Chris or was it Morton's? Because somebody told us that one team had partied at Morton's.
Look here. It was a
steakhouse.
Well, it was so long ago, my man. You see, there you go again. I've been doing so well, and I felt like we had really grown this relationship, and then you do this. It was all a setup because you're sneaky. See?
No.
You're sneaky. And the fact that you sit up there and you say, "This is our guest at 4:30," it just slide that in right there.
Bruce.
You, my man, you something else. You something else.
Bruce, I was fact-checking the other dude because he said that they went to go, some team had gone to party at the Mortons in the mall. I was just fact-checking. That's all.
Oh, it was, see, you know, all I know, it was a doggone steakhouse, okay? And the thing about the steakhouse, I've never known of a steakhouse attached to a mall, Bomani. That's what goes on there. And you know, so you got the Ritz-Carlton attached to the mall. You got the steakhouse attached to the mall. And we couldn't go through the mall to get to our hotel. So it wasn't what it is today. Cleveland's a fantastic city. But I will say this. George Clinton came to our game, and I tell you, he had on an outfit that made me think that he was still you know, sitting in the studio for 12 and 18 days without going out.
We are talking to Bruce Bowen on the right time. What's the Spurs championship party like, man? Because, you know, y'all are the team we think about when it comes to party.
Well, you swing it. You got haymakers going today,
I'm letting you broaden out our impression of these dudes because, you know, the Spurs don't want to give much media access, so we don't know those guys, but you know those guys. Damn, Bruce is so defensive.
Now, you know Steven Jackson. You had Steven Jackson on the show when he was talking about when my man that went to Maryland was dancing above his shoulders and gyrating on him.
Yes.
Stephen Francis, that's right. So Jack know how to party. Jack knows all those places that you just never thought that would be a place to party. And there's one time we were finishing up, And I said, Jack, where you going now? It's 4 in the morning. Oh, Bruce, the party just getting started. See, now my thought process was, well, I thought the party was ending at 4 because even in Miami when I lived there, you know, you go home at some point. But I guess you don't get around to winning championships often. So, you know, Jack knew how to keep it going, but our parties were very much tame. They were very, very responsible. A responsible party is a party that you deal with when when you're at this level.
We are talking to Bruce Bowen on the right time. But remember, I've been watching Steven Jackson play basketball since 1994. I seen Port Arthur Steven Jackson. I believe he knows all the spots.
Ooh, you went PA on us. You got that right because he got it tattooed on the shoulder. You can barely see it because he's a dark-skinned brother. And I always ask, Jack, why you put that there? I can't see it. Well, matter of fact, Jack, why you even got tattoos? You know, it doesn't help you. You know, I never understood that, Bomani, but Jack's my guy, and Port Arthur is in the building, and you know it as soon as he says something because that heavy accent of his.
Let me tell you, by the way, Kevin Garnett got all them tattoos, and none of us can understand it.
Stop it. He does not.
You didn't even know? You played with him and didn't know? He got all the tattoos.
I didn't play with Kevin Garnett.
You played against him.
There we go. I don't remember that. But see, you got me all over the place right now. See, I don't like this feeling. See, you start off with a nice jab, then you come with a hook, and then you throw a haymaker. Come on, man. I need some time in the ring where they go ding ding, so I can have a little break, so we could talk about this series and what everybody else is talking about. You know, everybody mad at Kevin Durant. You know what I say, Bomani? I say good for him because he don't listen to these folks and what they say because they don't know what he's going through. This young man is on a mission. He's on a mission to redeem himself from the finals that he played against Miami, and he looks so good right now. And you look at Steph Curry. Steph Curry got somebody else on the floor that can take the attention away from him. This is what it's all about. What I love most about all this, Bomani, is that because of their offensive onslaught, they gonna make teams start playing defense again. If you want to compete against these top teams, you're gonna have to have more than one defensive guy. That means we got to go back to old school, Bomani. You step on the floor, son, you got to play defense and offense. That's what this game is. We've seen guys take it to a level where now they're just offensive players or they're just defensive players. No, the game was made to play both at the same time and not be touted as somebody great, but they're both ways play. They play both sides of the ball. That's what it's all about.
We are talking to Bruce Bowen on the right time, who, by the way, just started asking himself his own questions. Now, speaking of Kevin Durant, tell me this, though. If you're checking Kevin Durant, what do you do? Like, what would your strategy be in trying to guard Kevin Durant?
Bomani, any great scorer, they want the freedom of movement. They want freedom to create space. So, if anything, I got to take away that space. And that means you got to get up, stay low on his dribble because he is long. But one thing that a lot of these great players like a Kevin Durant, they don't like people in their space. So whatever you have to do, it's just like the dagger three. How do you allow him to come up and just shoot a three-point shot? You got to play up. And if somebody is on him in an aggressive manner, everyone else has to be aware because somebody's going to have to make a rotation. That's how Cleveland started off this series, but they didn't have that backside rotation. You have to commit to it, but this is something that you have to do from the beginning of the season and incorporate it into your defensive philosophy.
So you say you do whatever you had to do, huh?
I didn't say that. See, there you go again.
I thought I heard you say that.
You hear? My therapist is calling my house phone right now. She must be listening to what you're doing right now, and I'm sure she is just proud of the job that I'm trying to do because she knows that this is not easy for me. I am a professional.
You're doing a good job, too, man. We're talking to Bruce Bowen on the right time. So one thing I want to ask you, though, with this Cleveland Cavaliers roster, what do you think they're going to need to do in the offseason?
I think, you just can't keep bringing in new guys. It doesn't work that way. I mean, accountability needs to be placed on guys that is necessary for. And you got to look at that team and you look at what your production is. And, you know, is this a little last season's championship team hangover? Because I know J.R. Smith is a better player than he's displaying right now. I know Iman Shumpert could give them more than what he's given right now. And, you know, Channing Frye hasn't been of a huge necessity for them because he hasn't been productive along with Korver. So I think, if anything, there's this heart-to-heart conversation that Coach Tyronn Lue has to have with his players that I just mentioned and say, hey, we can't do this again. We have to be more accountable. We have to be better. We have to do things a different way in order for us to have success. Now, I don't think that Golden State is a team that you can obviously just say, well, if we took that away, this would happen. This is a great example of what you need to do in order to beat a championship team, the caliber team. And I think it's get more into them because there is nothing else out there. It's the Eastern Conference. There is nobody that's going to necessarily give up something that's truly special to go to Cleveland again, because it just seems like the whole conference seems to make trades with Cleveland. I'm saying, why would they do that? It just adds to the depth of Cleveland. But, you know, that's all I can say of right now, Bomani, is that I think it's about what they have right now. They can't keep getting new pieces and expect them to be prosperous. You have to do it with the group that you have right now as far as building that foundation of what you do.
All right, that's my man Bruce Bowen. We finally got him around here, but we made it
there
happen,
you go.
man.
He said finally. Why you got to say finally?
I got to say finally.
You still putting the hot sauce on the chicken. It don't need no more hot sauce.
I say finally because
already.
I say finally because the people been waiting to hear you, and then now at long last their anticipation has been fulfilled. Bruce, how about that?
That's what I'm talking about. That's why you my guy right there. The way you just spun all that, that's what they call spinning, right? This is what women used to do to me all the time because of my big head. And but it fits your body because, you know, it accentuates your eyes. You know, and I believe them.
Yeah, look,
just like I believe you.
It is spinning just like my ankle would if I came down on your foot after a jump shot. Boom! Thank you, Bruce.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Uninterrupted. This is LeBron's company where they do like the podcasts and stuff like that. I read a really interesting story about it the other day, just about, you know, the business and how they've decided to go about this and getting content out there. But whatever. Anyway, video came out. Now, Shannon, this was taped last year, if I'm not mistaken. It is Draymond Green, it's LeBron, some other cats in a barbershop, because you know you can't have black people having no conversation that doesn't take place in a barbershop.
Charles Oakley was there, too.
Oh, he was. Yeah, no, like white people are so fascinated by like black people in barbershops, and black people are like, don't worry, we'll give you a barbershop television show. We know y'all love that. Like the barbershop is just like this mythical thing with black folks. It's wild, and people love to like eavesdrop on it. So we got LeBron and Draymond and these other cats in the barbershop, and this is interesting. Is LeBron talking about why he came back to Cleveland?
I mean, for me personally, when I decided to go back to Cleveland, I had to decide, like, because our owner at the time when I left decided to put out this article that we all know about where he completely, like, bashed me and, like, disrespected not only me as an individual, but disrespected my name. And my name is not just myself. It's my wife, it's my kids, my grandfather, you know what I'm saying, my mother, so many more people.
I feel so much better knowing that LeBron never forgave Dan Gilbert, because I never forgave Dan Gilbert either. By the way, that cutout was LeBron cursing about that letter. He referred to it as that effing letter. Shannon, we talked about this yesterday, with the story about him maybe trying to get Goris, the owner of the Pistons, to trade franchises with Dan Gilbert. Nah, ain't nothing got better. Ain't no thaw.
Say time heals? No.
He said the guy that was the owner at the time, like he's not the owner now. Right? Dude. Just called dude. They're like, I ain't even going to say dude's name. He's the owner now. He's referred to him as the guy that was the owner at the time. But this is another part we found interesting. LeBron wanted to go to Cleveland. Guess who didn't want to go to Cleveland?
For me, when I decided to go back, and I talked to like Mav and Rich and Randy and everybody, and I had to let them know, because some people was on the fence. You know, even my wife was like, my mama and my wife was like, Dad, I ain't with that.
Your mom was definitely
My mom was definitely like, Dad, we ain't going back.
No.
And for me, it was more, I had to finally just be like, you know what, Mom, it ain't even really about that. You know, me going back is more of this. It's more of a bigger picture, and it's more of all these kids, all these people that need inspiration and need a way to get out. And I believe I'm that way out. And so I had to be like, as much as like my mom mean everything to me and my wife mean everything to my kids, and like, you know, my mama, she was just so like, I'm not, like, listen, you go back, I ain't going back with you. Wow. Like, she's like, I'm staying in Miami. Yeah, or I'm going somewhere else. You send me somewhere else. I had to be like, let's not worry about the small, and let's worry about us trying to build something that's bigger than our name.
Now, first of all, can we take a moment to appreciate this is what it's like when you in the NBA, where your mama says, I ain't going to Cleveland. Send me somewhere else. Right? Send me somewhere else. Look, Gloria wasn't trying to go back. Savannah wasn't trying to go back. And my whole thinking, the whole thing with LeBron in Miami was like, dude, his wife ain't going back. His mama ain't going back. And I was right. Like, at least I don't feel nearly as silly as I did when he decided to go back to Cleveland. And all the reasons that I thought he wasn't going to go back to Cleveland all held up. Savannah had just opened her little juice bar down here. She had a little business thing going. Shannon wasn't none of them trying to go back to Cleveland. Gloria James can't go back all-star. Gloria James is like, we got out. I'm out of Akron now. Like, maybe you wasn't never trying to get out of Akron. I've been trying to get out of Akron. I just couldn't get out of there till you. Now we got to go back?
Right, like, I get it. It's for the kids and everything, LeBron. I get it, but no, I can't. No, it's not happening. Send me elsewhere. You know what? I'll stay in Miami. You can go back.
Right, like, I would tell a story when I was a kid. My daddy had done some, like, 5 or 6 week program. He was teaching at some school in Ohio. I was like 2 years old, and I was trying to talk about somebody came back. You telling me to be quiet. I looked at him and said, you need to go back to Ohio. I feel like Gloria was the opposite. Gloria's like, you could go. You know, this is what it felt like to me. I tell you about my homeboy. He's an economics professor. He got his PhD at the University of Michigan. And once he was talking about having cable. And he was like, look, I don't feel like paying for cable. He's like, but my kids, they watch SpongeBob. SpongeBob is a topic of discussion amongst their peer group. I have to do this, right? Like, I have to have cable so he could talk about SpongeBob with his friends. He's like, oh, yeah, I could go hard, but my wife and kids going to look at me and be like, no, Daddy, you go hard. We go into Chuck E. Cheese. That's what Gloria hit LeBron with. Well, why don't you go back there and save all them damn kids? Yeah, you go. Yeah. Go give all the scholarships you want. I'm trying to go to live. If they'll let me come back to live after I knocked out that ballet. No, nobody was trying to come there. Can you imagine how miserable that first year in Cleveland must have been for LeBron? If Savannah didn't want to go back in the first place, if Gloria didn't want to go back in the first place. You remember when he put that picture on Instagram that time and it looked so cold outside his house? He talked about home, I love it. I just imagine Savannah sitting inside there. I ain't had to put on a jacket in July in 4 damn years. You remember that, LeBron? You remember that? I used to be wearing bathing suits in January, LeBron. You remember that? LeBron's like, no, I'm just here to, you know, make people's lives better. There's people in Miami whose lives need to be better, LeBron. These are all the things that I would be saying under the same circumstance. And, Shannon, you know what else this tells me as we hear LeBron talk about how the family didn't want to come back to Ohio. His mama didn't want to come back to Ohio. His wife didn't want to come back to Ohio. When's LeBron's contract up?
After he has the option, right?
Yeah, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't feel like going back. You sure they feel like staying?
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
All guests join us on the Shell Pinzo Performance Line, just like our next guest. You may have seen him on a television program known as Pardon the Interruption. His name is Michael Wilbon. All right, Mike, now you've been around this league for a long time. What do you think about these arguments that the Warriors' dominance is bad for the NBA?
It's ridiculous, and it comes from people who don't really follow professional basketball over a period of decades and haven't studied it, aren't discerning. I mean, a lot of people out here just run their mouths. They don't actually pay attention to any particular institution or entity over a period of years, Bomani. The NBA, this is what it is. When people argue that the Russell Celtics were bad for the league, but they argue that Jordan's Bulls were bad for the league, dynasties are what make this league. This is the culture of this league. Winning basically winning back-to-back and winning 2 or really 3 or more. That's what makes you great. Not winning once. Even though maybe the greatest team ever won once, the 83-76ers, the Moses, Malone, Julius Erving Sixers, which you could put in that discussion, I would. They won one. And everybody thought it was bad for basketball that they only won one. They lost as defending champs, I think, the very next year to New Jersey in either a 2 out of 3 miniseries or 3 out of 5, I forget. But what makes this league is dynastic teams. So people who say otherwise aren't paying attention.
Well, when's the last time you could think of a team, though, like the Warriors, where not just they had these 4 guys, but they're basically within 2 years of age of each other, like everybody's hitting prime at the same time?
That's a good question. I think that the Rockets won twice, had a little more variation. I'd have to check to see what the ages of Akeem and Kenny Smith. Clyde Drexler was only a couple years older because he and Akeem played in college together. They might have had it. And I don't remember what happened to them the third year and why they couldn't sort of hold on. Maybe San Antonio happened to them.
Seattle. Seattle happened to them.
Seattle, that's right. Seattle happened to them. So, and you had Kemp and Payton, but they didn't. The other players on that team were older, and they sort of had to make some deals. And you had Schrempf and some other guys, and Nate McMillan, and so you had a little difference there. So you're on to something. There wasn't a lot of difference. They were older as a group between Jordan, Pippen, Ron Harper, and Dennis Rodman. Not a lot of difference there. It may only been a couple of years difference. And, that's a team. I just got through talking to somebody who was scouted and coached in the league for a long time, who as a member of one team went up against the Bulls in '96 and has been up against the Warriors this year. And he just said, look, before people start getting carried away and talking about what the Warriors would do, remember the difference in physicality, what was allowed. If you played by the 1996 rules, sometimes Klay Thompson and Steph Curry couldn't even get the ball because Jordan and Harper and Rodman and Pippen would simply have an arm bar in your back. You can't do that now. So if you play by today's rules, Jordan would also not be having an arm bar in his back. He averaged 37 with an arm in his back. So what would he average with nothing? You're just confronting him with just your feet. And so it's interesting, to go through these things. And they were about the same age. But this group, man, I mean, this is, the league is in for some decisions. People at different teams, GMs, executives, they have some real decisions to make about what they're going to try to do and if they have the resources to even challenge them on any level the next couple of years.
All right, we are talking to Michael Wilbon on the right time. Now, switching gears, looking at the Cavs, it's always about LeBron, right? No matter what, he can't shake being the topic of discussion. If he gets swept or his team gets swept in the finals this year, does that affect the way that you look at him historically?
It doesn't. And I'm going to tell you something. If you would ask me the week ago, I would answer the question differently. But I just got done writing an essay. It'll be on SportsCenter tonight, and because I had to go back and look it up. And everybody in the modern era has been swept except Jordan in a 4 out of 7 series. Bird got swept after he won a championship in '83 by Milwaukee. I'd completely forgotten that. Magic and Kareem playing together were swept in the finals by that 76ers team, Moses and Doc's team that I mentioned. Shaq got swept by Akeem in the finals. Shaq and Kobe got swept. Who am I leaving out? So
Shaq and Penny against the Bulls.
That's right, Shaq and Penny. So Shaq got swept twice, once in the conference finals, more than that really, but once in the finals. Big stakes, high-profile series against other all-time greats. So when we look at the modern game, Shaq, Kobe, Penny, Bird, Magic, they all got swept. There's nobody who didn't get swept at Kobe. I said Kobe, except for Jordan. And so I really find it hard, Bomani, to penalize, take down LeBron in that way if he's in pretty good company with all those guys having been swept.
All right, we're talking to Michael Wilbon on the right time. Now, looking at this Cavaliers roster, where would you look to make changes to try to keep up with Golden State?
Well, let me throw a suppose at you. Suppose they realize that, of course, Chris Paul is on an open market. And if he's talking to San Antonio, it means Chris Paul's looking to play to be in the finals at minimum. He's looking to try to win a championship. So if he's doing that, why don't they try to get him? And if that means trading Kyrie for Chris Paul, so what? You're trying to win. LeBron's trying to win now. He's not worried about you're trading up 6 years. Yeah, you are. But you also are trying to win now. Because LeBron's not worried about 6 years from now. That'd be 20 years in. That's limping to the finish. Even the great LeBron at 20 years in pro basketball. Only a couple people have done that. So why not try to win now? Why not Chris Paul, who's, to me, a much better fit, close with LeBron? Could perhaps suggest to LeBron James at a championship game, yo, big fella, we need you in the post. We need you in the post to maybe get Kevin Durant in foul trouble, maybe draw a double team. You can still bolt and score from that position, but we need you in the post. Don't know why you don't want to play in there, big fella, but we need you there. Chris Paul can do that. Kyrie Irving cannot. Obviously, Kyrie Irving cannot because he would have done it. Because LeBron doesn't play in the post. How's that possible? He doesn't play in the post.
Now, one thing about him playing the post is if you're going to have a roster that's so heavily invested in Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson, there's no room for you to play in the post. Like, I feel like they're over-invested in big guys and might need to look to move one of those. What do you think about that?
Well, but they're not real big guys. Yes, defensively, Kevin Love can rebound like a big guy, but he's not playing there. And Kevin Love could post too, by the way, but he's not playing there offensively. And Tristan Thompson isn't even in the game. I don't know what that is. He's not there. He has 8 rebounds in the series. Steph Curry has 13 in a game. So, and I'm not about to sit here and say that I don't want Tristan Thompson because I do. I love Tristan Thompson as a player on balance. But LeBron James, Tristan Thompson ain't going to draw a double team off a post. And I was sitting watching the game with Paul Pierce the other night, and I said, Paul, what did you do? And Paul Pierce was screaming for LeBron to get the post. I said, what did you do in those situations? He said, that's how you rest. That's how you prevent yourself from being hangdog tired, even though you play 44 minutes. You get in the post because you can rest on a possession in the game. And you're going to get the ball. And first of all, Kevin Durant doesn't want to guard you in the post. He weighs 140 pounds relative to LeBron James. LeBron James still has, 50 pounds, 40 pounds on Kevin Durant? So you can get him in foul trouble. You can bully him. You can tire him out. And Paul Pierce was talking about what it was like defensively to play against LeBron in the post. And he says, LeBron wears you out. I'm tired. I don't want to do it. And I'm going to foul or I got to get help. And he talked about people of the Celtics having to help outguard LeBron in the post. And then when you do that, you compromise your defense and you can throw the ball out to an open shooter. So there are all kinds of reasons LeBron should be in the post and he's not there. This is stupid. Or either that or there's a reason I don't get if it's not stupid. I don't understand it. Look, Tyronn Lue drew up 2 plays for LeBron in the post out of timeouts, and I think they scored off both of them. One of them, Kyrie Irving got a no-dribble layup off an assist from LeBron. So you're not going to outrun and gun the Golden State Warriors. So why aren't you playing in a way that uses LeBron James in a way that only LeBron James can post and pass and draw a double team and get guys in foul trouble like that?
All right, that's Michael Wilbon. Check him out on ESPN. Check him out on PTI. Thanks so much for joining us, sir. I appreciate it.
Bomani, thanks for having me. I do too, man. Appreciate being with you.
And now, insurance-minded speeches from Geico.
Hardship. My grandmother would go through it every month to pay her insurance bill. First, she would handwrite a paper check in cursive. Then, using her own tongue, she would wet a stamp for an envelope. Today, however, we need not weary our hands and tongues. Today, we can pay our Geico bill with the Geico app. Away with hardship, in with bill pay on the Geico app. Thank you.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Well, when we talk about the old heads saying that they're going to be able to compete with the Warriors, Shannon likes to break out the Kanye old folks talking about back in my day.
Old folks talking about back in my day.
Apparently, Steve Kerr feels the same way. Here's Steve Kerr talking about the old teams and how they would fare against the Warriors.
They're all right. They would all kill us. The game gets worse as time goes on.
It's hard to watch, right?
So players are less talented than they used to be. The guys in the 50s would have destroyed everybody. It's weird how human evolution is sort of like goes in reverse in sports. Players get weaker, smaller, less skilled. I can't explain it.
Okay, so Steve Kerr with the reasonable argument that, of course, we would beat them because the game has evolved in the way that the game has evolved, right? The only thing, though, I feel like that argument gets a great big old duh from me. Like, come on, man. We're not saying that, all right, let me think better, but the way I was going to put it wasn't going to work. Okay, let me ask you this. Pick one of those old squads that we're talking about, right? So say the 83 Sixers, for example. Let's throw them out there. Or even the bad boy Pistons. Let's throw them out there. What would they do against the 2017 Milwaukee Bucks? Right? Like the 2017 Milwaukee Bucks are a team of condors where you feel like they could put 5 guys out there, they all stretch their arms out, and they could wingspan all the way down the floor. Not across the floor, down the floor, right? Like if we dropped them off back in the day, they're the greatest team that anybody has ever seen, right? Like think of, like we saw about this, me and my brother did back in the day where Robert Horry was playing. We're like, man, if we dropped Robert Horry off in 1971, they would think that Robert Horry was a superhero. So yes, we could definitely make that argument, man. The basketball has gotten better and everything else, therefore the old guys wouldn't have a chance. But again, by that argument, we could probably be going way down the list. Like we take these Cavs, and we would say that they would run through the league if we dropped them off in 1985. But here's the thing about that. None of us think that the Cavs would necessarily be better than, say, the 85 Lakers, right? Like, we don't think the Cavs are a better team than the 85 Lakers. When we have this discussion, we, of course, have to acknowledge the fact that there's been a level of evolution of the players. There's been a level of evolution when it comes to the technology. There's been an evolution in the knowledge and the science. All of these things, we've seen what that evolution is. So when we have these discussions, I think about, okay, what's the collection of players that we have on one of these older teams? And if we took that collection of players from the older teams and gave them all of the modern advantages, how would they then face up to, say, the 2017 Warriors? If I want to compare the 2017 Warriors to, say, the 1972 Lakers, I'm going to look at this current Warriors team and then imagine if they don't have some of those advantages, how they would then fare back in the day. So, like, let's take this for football, for example. Who's the greatest running back of all time? Most of us would say Jim Brown, right? 8 rushing titles in 9 years, all of that stuff, right? Also think Jim Brown had an 1,800-yard season in a 12-game season, right? All right. Is Jim Brown as good an athlete as, say, Marshawn Lynch was or Adrian Peterson when they're playing in the league now? No, of course not. But all those exercises and everything else that Adrian Peterson's doing these days, dude, Jim Brown would be down here doing those same things. And what do you think Jim Brown going to look like taking that creatine? Like, you want to have that horrible, frightening thought right fast? Jim Brown out here on some creatine? And all I'm talking about is creatine. Not even the good stuff, right? Just the creatine. Just taking shakes. So, yeah, like, I get where Steve Kerr's coming from. Play that Steve Kerr thing one more time, please, Stephen.
They're all right. They would all kill us. The game gets worse as time goes on.
It's hard to watch, right?
Players are less talented than they used to be. The guys in the 50s would have destroyed everybody. It's weird how human evolution is sort of like goes in reverse in sports. You know, players get weaker, smaller, less skilled. I can't explain it.
I mean, that's it, man. Like I get where he's coming from. Yes, that dismissal of the argument can get you out of it, but that's not the point, and nobody thinks that that's what the point is. That being said, ain't a whole lot of teams in history that's got to answer for the 7-foot shooting guard.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Add new events to the Olympics. Oh, by the way, they also say they're going to cut down on the total number of Olympic athletes. They're going to cut it down by 285 people, which sounds to me like 285 people from those countries that we insult on the American broadcast and the Parade of Nations are probably the ones that are going to get cut out. It ain't going to be nobody from these money-making places. What are you, high? Anyway, among the events that they're adding for the 2020 games, you can start working out for this right now, for the 2020 Olympic Games in the summer. 3-on-3 basketball. You hear that? 3-on-3 basketball. I'm here for it. I'm totally here for it. You know why I'm here for it? I'm here for it under one condition, and it sounds like they're going to go along with this condition, but this condition matters, all right? No NBA players. No NBA players. I mean, we could have NBA players, right? And I guess in a way it could kind of be interesting in a way because them other countries, they can't compete 12-man teams, but they can get 3 dudes from their little country and make it work. Like, you think about this. You had a Cameroon. Cameroon could put Embiid, Luke, Bob Mute, and, you know, somebody, and at least compete, right? They can at least compete. So, like, 3-on-3 kind of levels the playing field in that way. But, nah, I don't want NBA players. I don't want professional players. I want dudes who hoop. Like, that's what they are. Just dudes who hoop. Like some of them dudes on that little dunk contest that TNT shows, right? Maybe we get some of those cats. Or just dudes who hoop. Regular dudes. You know what I'm talking about. Regular dudes.
Dudes who are in their 30s that still wear basketball shorts under their jeans, just in case.
That's right. Dudes who might not pass the background check. I just want dudes, because I don't think there's anything better than when the Olympics have some event that involves them bringing in guys who aren't really Olympians in that way, right? Like, Shad, I don't know if you remember this, when they first put the extreme, like the X Games stuff in the Olympics, right? That's how your man Shaun White got his Olympic medal and all that. Do you remember that in the first year of it, one of those Winter X dudes failed the drug test for marijuana, and they tried to take his medal, and he was like, oh, hold on there, buddy. When did we agree to stop smoking weed? Right? They're like, yo, y'all the ones that wanted us to come out here. We ain't never give a damn about no Olympics. When did we agree to that? And they gave him back his medal. They gave him back his medal. Why? Because he's like, they were like, okay, my bad, you right. And he's like, look, man, I ain't no Olympian. That's what I want from this. Just a bunch of dudes who don't really view this as that. They just like, yo, man, they say this is 3-on-3 tournament. I think we going to show. I think we going to sign up. I don't know. They say the last game's in Tokyo. Imagine that, Shannon. Hot sauce and the professor in the opening ceremony.
Just love to see how it would be officiated, though. You're going to have these regular rec league officials with these dudes, these street balling handles and the carries.
There's only one way to officiate this, and you know the only way there is to officiate this. The only way to officiate 3-on-3 in the Olympics is the way that you officiate 3-on-3 everywhere else. Call your own fouls. That's it. That's what we need. We need people who don't speak the same language arguing about calls. And you know what? I bet they're going to understand each other clearly, even though they don't speak the same language.
No, look, and all I know is next time that happens to me, you can respect my call, right?
Right.
You know what? Shoot it.
That's right. Shoot it right there. Do it now. Do it now. No. Step on back to the 3. No. Go ahead. Step on back to the 3. Okay. All right, cool. They get the ball. Like,
how many ball don't lies you think they'll be screaming out?
In how many languages? Like, that's the thing about it. Ball don't lie in how many languages? No, we need these cats out here calling their own fouls. Also, will it be played indoors or outdoors? That's an important distinction, right? Because, I mean, like beach volleyball, they play it on the beach. I feel like they should play this outdoor because this 3-on-3 thing is really more about outdoor. And then that's cool because you know what that eliminates? Cats out here trying to take charges. That's what that eliminates. You might take a charge on that shiny wood that you can slide across. Hey, bro, ain't nobody talking about taking no charges on that concrete.
On the question of the type of players, if we don't want NBA players, what about former NBA players? I mean, we got this big 3 going down now.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind sending Kenyon Martin to represent America. Right, like there's certainly something to that, but now, man, I want this to be about the people. The Olympics have sold out already to commercialism. I want to make Olympians out of people who never thought that they could be Olympians before. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we need to do. That's exactly how we need to play.
So just to think, all those years spent in those Hoop It Up tournaments,
that's right,
prepared you to be an Olympian.
That's what Hoop It Up needs to turn into. No, I don't even know if they still do Hoop It Up, but what Hoop It Up needs to turn into is the Olympic trials. Think about how much more interesting a Hoop It Up tournament would be if you knew it was the Olympic trials. And imagine how hard cats would be fighting just to get to the Olympics. Because you know who'd be out there in the 3-on-3 the way I imagine it? If they had this 4 years ago, you know who I think would have made the American team? Jonathan Simmons. Because I want us to send 3 of America's finest can't-go-back all-stars for this 3-on-3 tournament. That's right. They can't go back so much. They might go to Tokyo and be like, no, I ain't catching the flight back. I'm here. Why? I can't go back. I can't.
Thanks for listening to The Right Time Podcast. Please come back Monday for more. And don't forget to listen to The Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.